Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday, rainy morning, draft day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProChargeEV.com. All right, everybody. Draft day is here. Excited about it. Hopefully you are as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be a really busy day for the Tigers. Got a shot to see B.J. Ojulari. You see some mock drafts that maybe have him going at the end of round one. So it'd be great to see a guy who could have gone pro a year ago, came back, had a really good season, good team guy, good leader. It'd be great to see Ojulari go in round one. So really pulling for that today. Saints at 29, really the big question, do they move up? I think a lot of that depends on what happens in the draft ahead of them. If there's a player that they really like, could they get kind of bullish and move up? Maybe. I have no doubt that they will try at some point. Just a matter of can the compensation work? I mean, they tried last year, yo. I mean, let's rephrase. They did move up last year. They made the trade with the Eagles, and then on draft day made the trade to go up to get Olave. So I guess they made two trades to come back in round one and then the trade to move up. So and then they were trying to move up to take J.C. Horn when he was there around 10 or so. So they were trying to go even further than they did. So I have no doubt they'll be aggressive and they'll be on the phones and trying to go up to take a player. Who that player is, I think it depends on what happens in the draft. Like I have been very adamant, obviously, that this Saints team needs. We all know they need defensive tackle help. Everyone understands that. Everyone understands that's what this team needs. So, what player might be there if you're looking in that sort of 10 spot, what defensive lineman might be there if they're looking in that 10 spot. Is Lucas Van Ness, from Iowa, a guy in that spot they may covet. Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle, if they are looking at defensive line, do they love Miles Murphy? I think so much of it just depends on how this draft starts to play out. So we'll see. 7 o'clock, we will be at Don Juan Cigar Bar. Y'all come join us. If you can't be at Don Juan, join us. Join us on the Watch 145 ESPN YouTube channel. All right, say some good mornings here. Kelly Presley, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning back in the USA. Welcome home. Hope you enjoyed your trip. Sounded awesome. Bubba Tatum, good morning. Jason Horn, good morning. Who dat? We don't need any 46-year-old beer league baseball players giving Matt anxiety today. I do want to apologize. I don't know if Bart's going to jump on today, but I need to apologize. Like, I went way too hard in the paint after him. I was just in a mood. So, while I disagree with him completely, I should have been way more respectful than I was. I don't know if he's jumping on today, but if he does, I will say as much. My point. So, what Jason is referring to. Is there were several people yesterday crapping on Jordan Thompson. One of them was Bart, who was like, I played baseball till I was 46. And what I would explain is, okay, the opinions that I have oftentimes are cultivated by talking to people who know way more than I or you do. And it's why people trust what I have to say. Like, I spend time talking to coaches and executives and scouts and former big leaguers. And when they all share their opinion on Thompson, forgive me, but I don't care what your opinion is. I don't. Like you're entitled to your opinion, right? You are certainly entitled to, you could say it, as uninformed as it may be. I just don't need people like trying to lob their credentials at me. Like, I played baseball till I was 46. Great, fantastic. Sure, you nabbed plenty of gappers. Just plucked them straight from the air. And see, I'm getting upset again. Anyway, Earl, stay put at 29 and 40 Saints. Yeah, maybe Earl, maybe, but you better believe they will be on the phone trying to move up. And it's like, you can have whatever angst you want about that. It doesn't matter. It's just, that's their approach. The Saints, and Mickey Loomis said it yesterday, if you heard him on his pre-draft press conference. He said, if you believe in your board, then trading back means you're going to draft a lesser player, right? That's what he said. He's like, if you believe in your board, if you've graded out the entire draft, then where you're supposed to pick, if you move back, you are going to end up with a lesser player. So when that's their mentality, when that's their approach to the draft, you are never going to see them trade back. It's just not what they do. So anyway, they might stay put at 29 and 40, but I think so much of it, depends on what happens around them in the draft, for sure. So anyway, Craig Duga, Hanny counting down the minutes like, if you like pina colada. Island Hanny tonight. Hopefully he's back. Michael Ongeron, good morning. Don't forget to start Drew's backpack this morning. I did. And I started it yesterday too. So it's weird. Like, normally when it's over, it beeps. And I didn't hear it beeping. So I went in there and it was like at the dosage was like at 0, and I'm like, what happened? I mean, Erica must have stopped it or something, or started over. I don't know, or maybe it just turned off. I have no idea. But we're good. Nate Gidry, what up, Nate dog? Matt watching from South Korea. Moved here last year. Still enjoy catching morning Scone, even though it's 9:30 at night. Who dat? All right, Nate dog. Good to hear from you, man. Hope you're doing awesome. Jeff McKithen, good morning. YouTube, smash that like button if you would. Weights and Shorty Bulls. What's going on? Tim Gotra, Brian Wynn, Trivia Carter, Wendell Norman, Derek Matthews, good morning. Trivia, I'm here for support because I don't care about the draft. Okay. I guess the weird thing is, like, I understand that, like, the mass of humanity may not care about the draft, like they would say Super Bowl or something like that. But generally speaking, sports fans care about the draft. So, like, if you're watching this show, you're a sports fan. That's what kind of surprises me. If you're a sports fan, you're not into the draft. But you do you. Everybody do their own. Teach their own. Let's see. Brant Roban. Good morning, Matt. Just read that Bama has 8 or so batters hitting very well right now. Yeah, so here's the thing with Bama. And of course, the LSU Alabama baseball series starts tomorrow. Excuse me. Bama started off the season quite well, and they ranked, and then they started to get more into the meat of the schedule, and have struggled a bit since. Their cumulative team batting average is 308, so they can swing it a little bit. Tommy Seidel's their best hitter. He's at 360. Drew Williamson's batting 338. By the way, I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm looking at their cumulative stats for the season, by the way, right now. Johnson's at 331. Pinckney is at 329. Colby Sheldon's at 302. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players over 300. And then Will Hodo's at 298 and Jim Jarvis at 297. So, yeah, man, like, they've got a lot of dudes that have played a lot and swing it pretty well. Their staff ERA is pretty good as well. It's just south of 4. Here you go. They're 500 in conference play, but this is what happened with them, right? So they started off really well pre-conference, and then they opened up conference play against Florida, and they lost 2 out of 3. That was on the road. Then they played Kentucky and lost 2 out of 3. They lost the first 2 and won the third game in both those series, and then they played Arkansas. So you kind of get my drift here. They played a really, really tough schedule, and they lost 2 out of 3 to Arkansas. They won the first one, lost the next 2. And then they played Mississippi State and lost 2 out of 3. They went loss, win, loss. So that was a more manageable series. And this past week they played Auburn. 2 weeks ago they played Auburn, and that was their first series win. And then they played Missouri this past weekend and swept Missouri. So the last 2 weeks, their start of their schedule was pretty brutal, and it showed. But the last 2 weeks, they took 2 out of 3 from Auburn and swept Missouri. So playing better against the lesser teams in the conference. When they played the better teams in the conference, they really struggled. And that actually doesn't include Mississippi State, who stinks. And they lost 2 out of 3 to them. So now they got to play LSU and then Vanderbilt. Then they're at Texas A&M, and then they're home against Ole Miss. So they still got a bit of a meat grinder to go. I mean, the SEC is a meat grinder, but playing better, yes, in particular the last 2 weeks against lesser competition. They're probably what they are. Like, you have the upper echelon of the SEC, which is LSU. Right now you have to say South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Florida. Tennessee just swept Vanderbilt, so maybe they're on the come up a little bit. You have the bottom feeders, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, what they are right now in the league. And then you have that middle tier. Kentucky, I think Tennessee's kind of got to be considered in there. It's kind of where you find Bama as well. So, I mean, they are what they are. They've lost to the good teams. They've beaten the bad teams. Well, now you got to go on the road and play the number 1 team in the country. It's going to be a tough draw for them. Smash that like button if you would. There on YouTube. If you're new, subscribe up to the channel. As always, shout out to Brock. You need orthopedists, go to Brock. They're just the absolute best. All the subspecialties, necks, shoulders, arms, hip, back, knee, foot. They got you. After hours clinic, walk-ins welcome. And Brock satellite offices all over Greater Baton Rouge. So check them out, brortho.com, brortho.com. And of course, Hudco Roofing, rainy morning. Every time I see it rain, I just know it's going to be a busy day at Hudco. Our phones are going to ring, the web submissions are going to pile in. It's just every time it rains. Whenever it rains, people find out they have leaks in their roof, and that's when they call. So, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Boo Daddy, 1092. If the Saints don't draft the defensive tackle in the first, hope the Saints pick up Gibbs, the running back from Bama. Man, it just, that would feel like such a luxury. And while I agree they need a running back, I just think there's so much value at running back in this draft later to try to take a running back in the first round. Nick Newbill, good morning. Reed Rule, morning Scone. Got a feeling they trade up a few spots for the Pittsburgh defensive tackle. Can't see Loomis making 8 draft picks without making a move up. That's a good point, Reed. And the other thing to keep in mind is it is very unlikely that 8 draft picks make your team, right? Like, you don't have 8 roster spots available for draft picks. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to make 8 picks in the draft. So if you have an opportunity to package picks to move up to get a player you like that's more likely to make your team and make an impact, then do it. Gregory Gordy, good morning. Brant Roban, Cajun Country, good morning. Hope Drew's doing better. Hope the Saints do not trade up to draft another third rounder in the first round. Well, they traded up to get Chris Olave. He's pretty good. Let's see. Hey, Dad, good morning. Randall Offrett, good morning. How much input or control does Dennis Allen have over who gets drafted? It seems kind of collaborative, but it also feels like the final say is Mickey. I'm curious how much that's changed with Dennis as opposed to Sean in the room. But Tomas Pena, good morning. Saints will surprise everyone and select Isaiah Foskey in the first round. Okay. Calling a shot. Weston Weaver, morning, Matt. What would you rather? Saints move up to draft their franchise quarterback, or LSU win the Natty in baseball this year? Win the Natty. Give me a Natty, always. Give me championships. And I'll also tell you, because I don't think outside of Bryce Young, there's going to be a player worth moving up for. Meaning, I would not move up to take Will Levis. I would not move up to take Anthony Richardson. C.J. Stroud, yes. However, I don't know that that's practical. So, give me the Natty in baseball. Give me the sure thing. Reed Rule, is Thompson back next year, or is draft stock as high as it will be? No, he's gone. I mean, he's going to sign. You come back, you lose all your leverage. So, I collected baseball cards at 13. LOL, does that give me baseball credit? Will, ask Matt, who do you think is going number 2? Will Levis. I think Houston does not want to draft C.J. Stroud. I think they were hoping that Carolina would settle on Stroud and they would take Bryce Young, but I do not think they want to take. It's pretty obvious they don't want to take. They don't want to take Stroud. Antron Hemingway, morning, Matt. It's draft day. I wonder who's going to draft Kayshon Boutte. Well, it won't be today, man. I'll tell you that much. Hopefully it's tomorrow. Hopefully somehow he manages to find his way in around 2 or 3, but feels like he's going to have a long wait, man. Reagan Leschere, good afternoon from Bulgaria. Seems to be a lot of buzz for the Saints to pick Elijah Cansey out of Pitt. We've talked about that a good bit as well. They brought him in for a visit. They're looking defensive tackle. I'd be totally cool with that if he's on the board and they take him. A little bit of an undersized interior player, but some said the same about Aaron Donald, and that's worked out. I'm not saying Elijah Cansey is going to be Aaron Donald, but another guy out of Pitt. So, trivia, I am a sports fan. I love football, but the draft is long for no reason, especially the first 2 rounds. Let's be honest, the Saints are close to becoming the Aints again. I'm lowering my expectations. Well, trivia, they've turned day 1 and 2 into a TV show, especially when they moved the first round to Thursday night. Remember, it used to be a Friday-Saturday draft, right? I'm sorry, it used to be Saturday-Sunday draft. Forgive me. And when they moved round 1 into prime time, they made it a TV show. It's smart. They moved the locations and all. They've given us a reason to be excited about the NFL here in late April. Let's see. Got a couple more minutes, y'all. Where are we? Let's see. Hey, Bart. There you go. I don't know if you heard my opening comments, Bart, but good to see you there. Jason Harn, what kicks are we going with? I got my white court visions with the black swoosh. Deborah Coward, good morning. Saint for life. Saints need to get younger and cheaper. I just hope they don't trade off picks for one player. This would not be a good idea. Saints will have the oldest roster in the NFL next season with 2 big money deals. So a lot of that I agree with. But again, like, they're not going to, like, 8 guys aren't going to make this roster. 8 draft picks aren't going to make the roster. So I'm okay making 5 or 6 selections that you're really bullish on, and guys that have a chance to help you get younger and become starters or impact players. Raleigh Charpentier, good morning. Boy from DTB, watching live from London. Okay, my prediction. Package picks move up to 18, take Elijah Cansey. Okay. Why did you say 18? Any reason in particular? Let's see who's got 18. We talked about this earlier in the week. I also looked at players, or teams rather, that the Saints have done deals with in the past. So Detroit, and that does make sense too, because Detroit, remember, has 2 first-round picks. They have the 6th overall pick, and then they have 18. So if they make a pick at 6 and have an opportunity at 18 to move back, and accumulate more picks, that would make sense for a team like Detroit that's still building. Nicholas Cantrell, good morning from beautiful Turks and Caicos. Look at y'all international today. We got South Korea, Bulgaria, Turks and Caicos. Appreciate y'all for being in, man. All right. Just not another Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, or Stanley Jean-Baptiste. See, the thing about that is that nobody drafts those players thinking that's what they're drafting, right? Now, Stanley Jean-Baptiste, that was a Rob Ryan pick. Rob Ryan loved Stanley Jean-Baptiste, and he went belly up, and I think he lost his draft privileges after that. And Davenport was really productive when he was healthy. And, we'll see if you can get anything out of Peyton Turner, but right now, that looks like a bust. But you never make those picks thinking you're drafting a bust. You think you're drafting a great player. All right, real quick. Leon Williams. Brant, do you think our team will be Omaha bound next season? Can we worry about this year first? I'm not trying to dodge your question, Brant, but can we just worry about this season first, please? Breesy's often injured in college. He had a difficult year this year with injury and with the loss of his sister, and otherwise, I think you're talking about a guy that's certainly a top half of round 1 guy. So I don't know that it's fair to label him just as an injury-prone player. Let's see. Go Tigers. Good morning. Leon Williams, the guy from Pitt, is too small. Any other possibility? 29 would be good. Tight end, wide receiver, etc. I'll remind you, though, when you talk about Kalijah Cansey, people said the same thing about Aaron Donald, So just throwing it out there. All right. Reed rules, so do the Texans at 12. Yeah, the Texans have 2 picks. But really the question, Reed, is like, and so the hypothetical that whoever it was mentioned was going to 18 to take Kalijah Cansey. I think the Texans at 12, but then you could also just look at teams that have done deals with the Saints in the past, right? Like the Saints have done deals with New England. New England picks at 14. The Saints have done deals with Washington, who they pick at 16. So that's probably the range if you see the Saints go up where they'd probably be looking to go. Well, see, so Cajun Country said, well, you could add Lamar Jackson as opposed to Davenport. You could do that in literally every draft with every selection. Like, you could always do that. You could always look at the draft and who was taken after the player you took and say, well, could add him. But then literally every team who picked ahead of you could have also had that player. So I don't like that comment because hindsight is always 20/20, and you just stay true to your board, I mean, I think I watched the draft as a fan just with the perspective that I know I can't control it. I know I have no say so whatsoever over what my team does. I just gotta hope they're good, at what they do. All right. let's see, Bart, how do you feel about Saints offensive line going into this year, their ability to protect the quarterback? Um, so I feel fine about the offensive line. The one question I have is whether or not Trevor Penning can beat out Hurst at left tackle. If he can, then I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints draft offensive line on the interior because you got to replace Andrews Pete. This is probably Pete. This is most likely Pete's last year with the Saints. So I would be totally fine drafting an interior guy. Okay, y'all, we are done. I got to go. It's 8:01. Got to get Drew up, get him out of school. So y'all have an awesome day. Thanks as always for watching. LSU Daily is live on your favorite podcast app. AFR at 3, and we are live at Don Juan Cigar Bar for the draft watch party. If you could come out to Don Juan, come join us tonight, 7 o'clock until the last pick of round 1, and I'll be there. T-Bob, Hunt, Hanny, Ott, Musso, Mario, Taylor Sharp, like our whole crew will be all out there. So come join us. All right, y'all have a great, great day. We'll see you. Peace.